few years ago, I was fortunate enough to go on a trip to Hawaii, and I'm sure some of you have been there before. When I went there, I took part in as many activities that I could to take in all that the island had to offer. And one of those things was swimming in coral reefs and in that environment. That was one of the most memorable things for me. The ocean has always fascinated me. I've been in love with it for as long as I can remember, and I consider it a big part of me. So today, I'm going to present to you the importance of coral reefs. I'm going to talk about how they are a value to marine life, human life, and the impacts that are hurting them. Coral is, there's another picture. Coral is a home for millions of species of marine life. Coral reefs are often called the rainforests of the sea, both due to the vast amount of species they harbor and to the high productivity they yield. WWF, one of the world's largest conservation organizations, records that the total area of the world's coral reefs amounts to less than 1%, less than 1/4 of 1% of the entire marine environment, yet coral reefs are home to 25% of all marine life on the planet. The marine life that lives there consists of species of fish, corals, lobsters, clams, seahorses, sponges, and sea turtles. And those are only a few of the thousands of creatures. Another point is, never mind. Coral reefs are not only of value to millions of marine species, they are also of importance to human health and well-being. For example, coral is used medicinally. Many species found in coral ecosystems produce chemical compounds for defense or attack, particularly the slow-moving or stationary species like sponges. Creatures found in coral ecosystems are important sources of new medicines being developed to induce and ease labor, treat cancer, arthritis, asthma, ulcers, human bacterial infections, heart disease, viruses, and other diseases, as well as sources of nutritional supplements, enzymes, and cosmetics. The Coral Reef Alliance even says that scientists have developed treatments for cardiovascular diseases, leukemia, lymphoma, and skin cancer, all from chemicals in reef plants and animals. Other compounds reduce inflammation, kill viruses, and relax muscles. Coral is also a protector or barrier from typhoons or hurricanes. The coral lessens the impact that and damage that the large waves can bring. The Smithsonian Ocean Portal states the value of coral reefs has been estimated at $30 billion and perhaps as much as $172 billion each year, providing food, protection of shorelines, jobs based on tourism, and even medicines. Like I mentioned, coral reefs also benefit some locations and countries financially with the tourism it brings. Many countries rely on the tourists that come in and the income that they bring. Not only are these covering the cost of snorkeling and scuba diving, but also includes hotels in which guests stay in, restaurants, and other businesses in miles of these reefs. Lastly, coral reefs are being killed in reducing due to high temperatures and fishing practices. 10% of coral reefs have been wiped out permanently. Warming of the ocean causes coral to become sick and die, like this. Researchers of Texas A&M University State say the most obvious sign that coral is sick is coral bleaching. It's when either the algae inside leaves the coral or it dies. The algae is what gives coral the color. Without algae, the white of the limestone shell would just shine through the transparent coral bodies. WWF claims that destructive fishing practices include cyanide fishing, blast, or dynamite fishing, bottom trawling, and Miro-ami, which is baiting on the reef with sticks. Bottom trawling is one of the greatest threats to cold water coral reefs. Coral is something of extreme value. It provides a home for marine life, benefits human health and well-being, and needs to be preserved. If you have the chance to see it, I highly recommend it. You won't be disappointed.
You don't have to go all the way up, so you can sit down.
Yeah.
Go all the water.
No, that's the thing that yeah, I couldn't figure it out.
Courtney, what did you think?
Okay, so I thought that your topic was really interesting and your presentation was really informative. As far as the visual aids, they were really cool to look at, but I feel like sometimes they acted more as a wallpaper after you kind of touched on them briefly. Sometimes, but they were so cool to look at, and like the last one I thought was really good to see because you talked about the coral bleaching and then dying, and it was a good visual aid for that. I thought your attention device was good, your story about going to Hawaii, because we were all listening. It's like, okay, what is this story about? You know, and it grabbed the attention for me at least. I thought that it was good how you use the WWF and Smithsonian sources so that we knew kind of where some of the information was coming from. But some of the information in terms seemed like some things I was like, oh, well, where did that one come from? Or some of the terms when you were talking about the destructive fishing, maybe could have been elaborated on a little more because I didn't understand what some of the things that you were saying meant. But other than that, I thought it was interesting how you used some terms like rainforest of the sea to give us kind of a picture. And the only other two things that I saw at the beginning, you were kind of leaning on the podium and you used quite a few times. But other than that, I thought it was really interesting.
All right. I'm going to say 90% of what Courtney just said. So we're in agreement on all of those kinds of things. I thought structurally is the one place that I would maybe suggest there be a little bit more work. I thought that you had a setup in the introduction of what the content was going to be, and then in the body of the speech it wasn't quite clear to me where you were at any given point, and I think that needed to be more distinctive. The visuals for the first one's basically wallpaper, and then you have the one that you show when you're talking about coral bleaching. I thought that was very effective. It just seemed like there ought to be some more things like this. You mentioned all the things that maybe potentially could be problematic for the coral reefs, and even a list might be good there, or some visualization of what goes on and how that process creates those problems. That might have been a little bit extra that you could put in the speech. But most of the things I was going to say, she said, so we're in good shape there. All right, thank you.